Now, before we start this video off, I just want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you watching this video right now. If you haven't seen on my social medias, on my Twitter and my Facebook and whatnot, you obviously probably wouldn't have seen it, but we have hit 300 subscribers. Oh my days. I cannot believe it, man. Like when it happened, I was so happy, you know, and it's just such a good achievement because it's something I've been hoping to do all year long. You know, we hit 200 subs only a few months ago and we've already hit 300. So yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable, and I wouldn't be able to do this without the support from you guys, the people who, you know, you don't have to comment, you don't even have to like, but just watching my videos means a lot to me because, you know, I'm able to talk about the one thing I love, and that is BTCC and mainly motorsport. So yeah, a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you're a new viewer watching this video, hello. Be sure to join one of those 300 people. So obviously, so we can start the road to 400 subscribers. So yeah, anyway, now let's continue on with the video. Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elliot Webber and welcome to episode 5 of BTCC What If Series 2. Obviously the series on my channel where we look at something that happened in the BTCC and we see what would happen if it played out a little differently. However, this episode is going to be a little bit different because instead of taking something that happened in BTCC, we're going to be taking something that happened in the WTCC, the World Touring Car Championship, and we put it in a BTCC context. So in this episode, this is what if Sebastien Loeb joined BTCC instead of the World Touring Car Championship. So as always, let's get straight into this. Now, as we know, Sebastien Loeb is arguably the greatest driver in motorsport history. You know, the man has done it all. He is, you know, he's won Dakar. He is a 9-time WRC champion. He's won races in the World Rallycross Championship. And obviously, as we know in this video, he's done touring cars, has won in touring cars. You know, Sebastien Loeb, in my personal opinion, is the greatest driver to ever live, period. That's not, you know, if you take out all the categories and, you know, you put a long line, I'm sure there will be a, you know, Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher would be up there. You know, maybe Carlos Sainz and Tommy Mäkinen as well could be up there. But yeah, in my personal opinion, when it comes to all-round driving and just natural raw talent, Sebastien Loeb is the greatest driver of all time. In my personal opinion, you're free to disagree with me. So yeah, anyway, so for those of you who don't actually know this, Sebastien Loeb did a couple of years racing in the World Touring Car Championship with the factory Citroen team. He debuted in the World Touring Car Championship in 2014 with the factory Citroen team, where he would be partnering Yvan Muller, who was at the time and still is a 4-time World Touring Car Champion, and Jose Maria Lopez. A lot of you endurance fans will know who Jose Maria Lopez is, a multiple-time Le Mans winner, also 3-time World Touring Car Champion as well. Solid, utterly talented driver as well. So, you know, Sebastien Loeb, obviously great driver in his own right, but he did have a, you know, he had a 4-time touring car champion and a future Le Mans winner as his teammates. So, you know, he wasn't surrounded by bad drivers either. Not only that, the Citroen in 2014 and for the rest of the years that Citroen were taking part in WTCC, it was the best car. That likely did help Sebastien Loeb a little bit, but Loeb, to his own right, was still very successful. He never won the World Touring Car Championship. However, he did take multiple race wins across his, I believe, 2-year tenure in the World Touring Cars. But still, race winners, and he was doing it without someone talking in his ear the whole time. That is a little joke about co-drivers. So, you know. So, yeah, however, we are going to be spinning this a bit, and we are going to be seeing what would happen if Loeb chose the BTCC instead of the WTCC. First off, what year is he going to debut in? He's obviously, I don't think he would ever debut in modern day, in the current years. I don't think he'd ever come to BTCC in 2025. I highly doubt that. So we have to clock back a few years and see what would happen. And I think we need to keep this similar to the real life scenario, which is Sebastien Loeb in 2014 made his debut. So yeah, we're going to be sticking with that. In this scenario, it would be announced Sebastien Loeb would be taking part in the BTCC in 2014. Now, What team is he going to be with in this scenario? We have a ton of options. Of course, 2014, we had 32 cars on the grid. So obviously Loeb in this scenario is not short of options. And I think if Sebastien Loeb was to make his move to BTCC in this scenario, it would be with Team BMR. Hear me out on this. As we know now, Team BMR no longer on the grid. Warren Scott owes a few people a bit of money, like Jason Plato and Subaru and the likes. He owes money too. But anyway, obviously in 2014, Team BMR were only in their second season of BTCC, but they had a star-studded lineup for their first proper BTCC assault. Team BMR in 2014, they had obviously Warren Scott, the team owner and also driver. They had Aaron Smith, who was still making a name for himself, obviously now known as Aaron Taylor Smith. They had Jack Goff, who was in a Vauxhall Insignia and a VW Passat in the two halves of the year. So Warren Scott, Aaron Smith, Jack Goff, and they also had two-time BTCC champion, the man who's been on this channel as well, Alain Menu. Yep, in their second ever season, they managed to sign Alain Menu. So, yeah, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the team were using VW Passats, and also Warren Scott and Jack Goff did use Vauxhall Insignias in the first half of the year. But then for the rest of 2014 and for 2015, they used VW Passats, which is why I'm doing this as Team BMR not only attract Sebastien Loeb in this scenario, but also attract VW. For those of you who don't know, Sebastien Loeb has driven for Volkswagen before, I believe during his last run in WRC. I do know he's driven for VW, but I just can't remember when. As I mentioned before, my WRC knowledge isn't as great as my BTCC knowledge. So, yeah, but I do know Loeb did drive for VW, which is why I'm making that connection here, is that he saw the VWs, Sebastien Loeb, VW, you know, it just works, and it makes sense to me at least. So hopefully it makes sense to you. So now we look at the performances in this scenario. As we know, Aaron Smith took 2 race wins in 2014 for Team BMR, which were great. Obviously, as we know, Team BMR in 2014 weren't really title contenders just yet. That would have to come, and they'd have to wait until 2015. But so how would Sebastien Loeb perform in 2014 is what we're going to look at next, his individual performance. First off, you're obviously probably going to be asking Elliot, who is he going to replace in this scenario? Well, honestly, I think he'd replace Alain Menu in this scenario. So basically, just imagine Alain Menu, but Sebastien Loeb instead in this scenario. Obviously, as we know, Alain Menu did take a couple of podiums in 2014 in what was his returning year before he ultimately effectively retired from racing. So Sebastien Loeb, 2014, replacing Menu in this scenario. I think he'd do quite well. Do I think he'd win a race? Honestly, I'm going to say yeah. I think Sebastien Loeb would win at least one race in 2014. Of course, the championship fight was between the likes of Colin Turkington, Jason Plato, Andrew Jordan, and I believe Gordon Shedden. Alain Menu in real life was you know, sort of in the midfield, upper midfield, was regularly in the top 10, and so that's where I think Loeb would be. I think Loeb would be very much in the points almost every single race. Of course, as we know, Sebastien Loeb doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Obviously, if you make a mistake in rallying, it goes very wrong. Obviously, if you make a mistake in touring cars, it can also go very wrong, but just not to the extent that you're not smashing up your car completely. But yeah, anyway, so I think Loeb 100% would be in the points. Not every race. I do think he might have a couple of stinkers and whatnot, but I think 9 times out of 10, Sebastien Loeb would be in the top 10 in the points, and come like reverse grid races, I think Loeb would be a solid front runner. And I do think Loeb, at the very least, would win one race in 2014. So where would he be put in the championship for 2014? Honestly, I'm thinking maybe the lower top 10, 10th at the very least. I think highest he could have finished, highest I think he would finish, sorry, is 6th, maybe 5th. Potentially 5th. But yeah, you know, again, this is probably me being a little bit biased because, as I mentioned, Loeb is, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. So, So yeah, it's difficult to fully predict this. Obviously, you're welcome to disagree with me and tell me what you guys think in the comments below. But yeah, now let's move on to the final year of this, 2015. So yeah, only doing 2 years in this scenario. Now moving on to 2015. And some of you are also probably wondering, Elliot, why do you think Sebastien Loeb would only do 2 years? Well, again, mirroring real life, Sebastien Loeb only competed in 2 years as a driver in the World Touring Cars. He obviously did have his own team for a couple of years as well. But yeah, as a driver, he only did, I believe, 2014 and 2015. I believe he was replaced for 2016 at Citroen. But yeah. Again, moving on to 2015, he'd stay at Team BMR in the VW. This time, his teammates would, of course, be Aaron Smith again, obviously Sebastien Loeb himself in the team, and then obviously he would be partnered, like in real life, by Colin Turkington and Jason Plato, making up a very, very good lineup. Aaron Smith, obviously, or Aaron Taylor Smith as he's known now, is a solid driver, especially after 2024, the awesome year he had in 2024, winning the Independence Championship. As we know, Colin Turkington, at this point in time, a 2-time BTCC champion. Jason Plato, at this point in time, 2-time BTCC champion. Multiple race wins already. And then obviously, Sebastien Loeb, I'm going to keep saying it, the greatest driver of all time. So now also, as we know, in 2015, the VW Passat was very much betterly developed, if that makes sense. It was a much better car in 2015 than it was in 2014. Obviously, Jason Plato missing out on the championship by I think like two or 3 points. Plato missed the 2015 title. Obviously, the Hondas were a bit too quick. So yeah, and obviously Colin Turkington was an outsider for the championship, and Aaron Smith was very much the sort of the number 3 driver per se. He was obviously just there to help Turkington and Plato. So where would Loeb fit into this? Do I think Loeb would be a championship contender in 2015? Honestly, no, I don't think so. I think he'd have an eerily similar campaign to 2014, where he would be 100% in the top 10 regular point scorer, fighting for podiums. He would get some race wins, I think, in 2015. I definitely think he'd actually get more. I think he'd get 2 or 3 race wins this year in 2015, and I think he would be 6th at worst, 4th at best, in my opinion, for Sebastien Loeb in 2015, had he moved to the BTCC. So yeah, 3 race wins, 4th at best in the championship standings. Not too bad for Sebastien Loeb in his BTCC career. And then yeah, that would be it. Sebastien Loeb, like real life, would leave, go on back to rallying or World Rallycross. And some of you are probably wondering, Elliot, why would you only pick Loeb to do 2 years? Don't you think he'd stay on it for 2016? Honestly, no, because as I said at the start of this, I think Team BMR would have been a VW factory-backed entry had Sebastien Loeb joined. Factory to the extent of they'd have manufacturer parts from VW, of course, not like the Super Touring where they get funding and whatnot. I'm sure they might have done, probably. I don't know. I don't really know how manufacturer deals work nowadays because it's all a little bit confusing. But anyway, so yeah, and obviously, as we know, the reason why I'm not picking Loeb to stay on for 2016 is because, as we know, Team BMR moved to Subaru for 2016 with the Lavorg estate car, where obviously it was an up and down year for 2016, and then obviously Ash Sutton won the title and whatnot, and obviously, as I've been saying, for most of these scenarios, the rest is history. So yeah, that is it, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think would happen if Sebastien Loeb chose to join the BTCC instead of the World Touring Car Championship? Do you think Loeb would be a race winner? Do you think Loeb would be a champion? And how long do you think Loeb would have lasted? Do you think he would have lasted longer than 2 years? Do you think he would have gone on to do 4 or 5 years? Or do you think he'd only do 1 season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, if you are new around here, be sure to like this video, share with your mates as well, because it, of course, does help my channel grow. And, of course, press that subscribe button to join and start the journey on the road to 400 subscribers. That feels so weird. Again, as I've mentioned, thank you so much for 300 subscribers. I literally would not be able to do this without the support from you guys. And of course, as mentioned at the start of the video, rest in peace, Tony Todd, the star of my favourite horror film. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see all of you in the next one. Goodbye.